Hey, this is Pops, and yes, Masters of the Air, Episode 5, Part 5. This show has kind of not lived up to that Band of Brothers, the Pacific billing, but at the same time has been entertaining and engaging at other times. So, after last episode, which was very slow and melodramatic, a lot of character development, but not necessarily characters that we knew anything about or really drew closer to. And now we head into episode 5, which is sort of like, I'm going to call it sort of like a bounce back episode because while it does give us a lot of the same problems as far as a whole bunch of characters we don't know a whole lot about, they at least give us a lot of action and we can kind of go through the experience with these characters, which is what the show should be. So early on, you have basically the fallout with Bucky, sorry. Buck and Bucky. Fair enough. All right. So those are our two main characters. At the end of the episode, the last mission, Buck doesn't come back. He crash lands in Germany. We don't know. Someone's talking about how they saw the plane get shot. He goes down. I see him go down. That kind of thing. Okay. He was on a leave and he was meeting up with some girl and he was having all this sort of like moral conundrums about the war and things like that. So it's back into the mission time. We're going to talk about the mission for this episode. And you have sort of like this quick scene of going back and finding like people that are in your bunks. They don't think you're there. They didn't think you're coming back. They've already moved into your barracks. So this was not as well articulated as I would have liked, but I liked the concept. So this is one of the problems with the show is they do a lot of interesting things to talk to you about what it would be like to be part of the bomber squad in the military on these type of runs, the complexity and the convoluted nature of these missions. Yet at the same time, as an audience member, it's not always easy to connect those dots. If you're really plugged into aviation or the war or war history, things like that, this probably makes a lot more sense to you. But it's trying to take a step back for me, I do find a little bit lacking. I mean, these scenes are lacking. So this is what it kind of comes as. It's a lot of interactions of who's who's and what's what's. Not a lot of this really matters too much because we're just going to jump right into the next mission after the credit. Now, by the way, I'm going to stand by my take. I'm going to stop talking about Band of Brothers Pacific. I just want this. I just want what's in the credits. I just want them to deliver on some of this incredible action and graphics and cinematography and that. So the mission, of course, is another insane endeavor. Going deep into territory, a lot of flak, a lot of fire. It's going to come under. They know they're going to lose some ships, and this is our main character, by the way. So if you haven't figured out, this is actually the narrator, the center of the whole thing. It really isn't the Buck and Bucky. It's really the navigator, who's basically kind of been kind of promoted through all of this. And I will say that it's really been kind of a nice surprise in some ways, and also kind of a letdown in other ways because Anthony Boyle's fine as Harry Crosby, but it's not like we really care too much about the master navigator. But he's the narrator. He's the one telling the story. It's through his lens. Hence the reason that we have sort of Buck kind of put on the shelf right now. We don't really know what happened to him. Then we kind of go into this mission where we have a whole bunch of people going up into the air and that kind of thing. So, we're 18 minutes in, 35 minutes left. So this episode, like the early episodes, is very action packed. A lot of stuff's moving, a lot of people getting hit, a lot of different things that are going on. It's gruesome at times, it's intense at other times. These are great graphics. I mean, I know that some of the CGI and stuff gets wonky, but some of these sort of like illustrations of what they're faced up against with each one of these representing an enemy plane coming in to attack the squadron, I think was brilliant. I think some of these kind of things are really do work well. And some of these shots are really done well. So you have these shots, but they use the cameras and the angles and the cuts pretty well in some of these sequences. And you can see there right in that little shot right there um, that some of the CGI and stuff that they do use, it's not in extended takes in this episode. Now, I may not be 100% sure. I'm sure you can go through the episode, you'll find a sequence here and there, but I found this episode to be way more solid than some of the ones that I've had complaints about and many other people have complaints about. Now, maybe I'm wrong. You guys are military history experts. You guys can put your comments in there. Keep me honest. Let me know what you guys think. But for the most part, I thought a lot of this was actually done well. It made a lot more sense than some of the other episodes. And it was also sort of an extreme take on a mission kind of going badly. This was kind of a weird moment that they're trying to go for because Buck's plane is going to go down He's basically the co-pilot on this mission. So they're back and forth about who's going to jump out first. But we only care about Bucky. We don't really care about the other dude. So these are some of the shots that you get in the air. Um, I actually thought all this worked. Thought all this worked pretty well. There was a weird moment here they hadn't set up previously, which was interesting. Like the lead plane is the one that's going to do the bomb dropping, and therefore the other ones are not supposed to drop until that one drops. I got to be honest, at this point, with some of the other dialogue and the mentions about like you're basically laying waste to such a large geographical area, and basically everything is kind of a threat in some ways. I know they're trying to be very strategic. That was the debate with the military and the British Army or the British Air Force, where it's like, no, you lay waste at night, you just destroy everything. They're trying to be more precise. But at some point, when you're having the casualties that they are, I'm surprised the strategy didn't evolve more. Like, just drop bombs, man. Just get the job done. Just get to it. Even survivors are faced with like gruesome situations next to them. Even when they think they're out of harm's way, there'll be some other last minute thing that happens. Planes are getting hit the last minute. They're struggling to get down. And lots of chaos, just lots of chaos. Here's the one ship coming in. There's another ship later that comes in, and all the emotions that surround who survives. And then you have sort of like the interrogation thing. Now, for those of you who are more familiar with Band of Brothers and Pacific and the military history, was this a thing for them as well? Like post mission, do they have interrogation and debriefings and that kind of thing? I don't remember those from those shows or other shows, but this seems like this was a large part of what they were trying to accomplish. Where they'd send planes out, and whoever came back, there was a lot of debriefing to adjust strategies, geography, different techniques, things like that. So I thought that including this was interesting. Again, Crosby's there in the background, so he's the one narrating and sharing this with us. Like he is very emotionally torn in this one of losing so many people. And then there's the emotional turmoil of having to clear out someone's stuff, and it finally creates like a really, really, really emotional breaking point for the character. So thought all this was great. It's definitely one of the more solid episodes that we have had in recent time. Definitely kind of a bounce back episode for me. I kind of got revigorated to wait for episode 6. So that was my take on it. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I am Pops.